My name is Carl Scarantino. I'm one of the automation specialists here at Schaedler. I'm responsible for services, and one of the services I'm responsible for is training. There's other services, but we won't go into them today. But we do want to focus on some of the offerings that we have. So there's three main points that I want to cover today. One, why is automation, industrial automation training important? Two, what we're seeing in the workforce today, right? What does the skills gap look like? And three, what options do we have from Schaedler, Yesco, and Rockwell Automation to help you through your training journey? So to start with, we'll talk about, why is industrial automation training important, right? Probably the biggest thing that I can think of is reduce downtime, right? Reduce troubleshooting in meantime between failure and meantime in repair, improve overall operational efficiency, and increase throughput. There's probably 100 other reasons, but those are some pretty good reasons, right? To reduce the downtime and keep production running. Some other considerations and disruptions, if you will, in the marketplace is it's even impact us in our own personal lives, right? The semiconductor shortage, right? We saw it in the automotive industry. Cars weren't able to be produced because they couldn't get all the chips that they needed. Our iPhones were delayed in getting shipped because they couldn't get some of the components. And even in the industrial automation space, right? Today we're seeing, where some of our electronics, we simply can't get the parts to continue making some of the older hardware, so we have to transition to newer hardware. And because of that, it requires additional training. So these are just a few additional reasons why we need that. So when we transition, when we migrate from that older technology to newer technology, a lot of these products, they're coming with enhanced feature sets, right? They're Ethernet capable. There's increased complexity to these systems that we're putting in. If we look at, now you have Ethernet, you have safety over Ethernet, you have, guard link communication. If you look at, just a standard control network these days, everything is on Ethernet, and you have a PLC, you have HMIs, you have drives. That's complicated. And as it gets more and more complicated, and I predict that it will continue to do so, that's another reason why training is so important. If you look at smart sensors or even data collection, right? If you want to start collecting data and put it in a central location, you have to know how to do that and how to get that data back out. So the bottom line is, right, some additional reasons why training is important is we need the ability to be able to program, commission, and troubleshoot systems quickly. And so what I'm going to talk about are, a couple of different training options that we have available. And really the bottom line is to help you guys stay on top of technology so that you guys, your companies can stay competitive. That's the whole game, right? It's a global marketplace today, and that's the whole idea is for your company to stay competitive against, the workforce of the world, right? So here's some interesting facts that I dug up. So it's projected that 2.7 million baby boomers will retire in 2025, next year. 2 million of those jobs are going to go unfulfilled. Think about that, right? And worse yet, 3.4 million manufacturing jobs are likely to be needed, right? But 2 million of them are going to go unfulfilled. That's scary. And I talked to some of you this morning, and you told me the same thing. You told me you can't get people. There's this skills gap, right? Of what you need to know and what you currently know. And that's what we're talking about here today is that skills gap and trying to reduce that with training. So we're talking about the different trainings that are offered by both Schaedler and Rockwell Automation. From a Schaedler perspective, we offer two courses. One is on PowerFlex 523, 525 essential training, drive training. In fact, this is Mike Baum down in the corner. He's one of our Schaedler Yesco engineers. He's floating around the floor. You might find him downstairs in the labs actually running one of these two mini versions of these courses. But these are offered both at our facilities or at your facility. But the idea behind the PowerFlex one is to get a basic overview of the hardware, how to program it, how to do some troubleshooting, how to work with the keypad, how to work with the software, how to deal with the firmware updates. And he does a really nice job with troubleshooting. So we bring a workstation with us for a group of people, and you guys could, all take turns working on it, and then he kind of messes with you and he makes you do some troubleshooting. So really nice job that he does there. He also runs this other one, Ethernet fundamentals training. So that if you need to learn a little bit more about Ethernet and how to configure your personal computer, how to go online with the drives, how to go online with the controller, this is a very helpful one as well. And he goes through some troubleshooting techniques there as well. So I'm going to transition now. We're going to talk a little bit about Rockwell automation training, right, and the offerings that Rockwell has. So many of you may be familiar with the instructor-led training that's available. So Rockwell's been doing that for a number of years. There's well over 100 different training courses that are available that you can take with certified Rockwell instructors on a variety of different topics. And then in addition to that, there's also, this has been around for a while too, is this Global Workforce Solutions, where it's basically a consultation with your company, and it'll say, hey, what are your goals? What are your needs? What are your training needs? And we try to develop a program that's specifically designed around your business outcomes, what your desired business outcomes are. And so it's a consultational service that helps you identify that. And so those two have been around for a long time. What's relatively new is this, what we call Learning Plus. Is anybody familiar with Learning Plus? Has anybody heard of this other than today that I might have talked to you? So what they did, they took these 41, I think, of the most popular instructor-led classes that they've been running for years. And they transitioned them into an e-learning platform. So you can take them online. They're self-paced training that you can take online at your own pace. And I'll talk more about that. That's going to be the heart of probably most of the remainder of the conversation here. So a little bit about them. They're e-learning modules. They cover 9 different topics, and I'll show you what those topics look like in a moment. But they're available for viewing on really any tablet or PC with a standard browser. They're really nice. In addition to being able to view the training courses, there's also a virtual instructor. So there'll be a schedule that's put out. Let's say the course that you're taking has a virtual instructor that's available every Tuesday from 2 to 4. So if you choose, you can go on at 2 to 4, and he'll give you instructions. He might do instructional videos. He might do demonstrations. He might do labs. It might be just questions and answers, but it's certainly worth checking out. And in addition to that, there's office hours that are available. So if you had any questions, one-on-one, you can get together with the instructor, just like in college, and you can ask him any questions that you might have. They're just adding a couple more components to what we call, again, Learning Plus, and that's the Genius webinars. So the Genius webinars are available monthly, and they talk about all new products, all new software, all new hardware that's coming out, and just latest trends of what's going on. So that's really nice. It's included with the Learning Plus. And there's actually a knowledge assessment in there to help you. So if you weren't sure, if you took these 40 classes and you didn't know where to start, there's a knowledge assessment in there that you can take to kind of guide you, or you can kind of just pick and choose which courses you take. So I mentioned earlier that for the automation technologies, there's 9 different topics, and the topics include control. So what we're talking about there are like PLCs, SLICs, compact logics, control logics, even the micro 800s. There's several different courses, and I'll show you those in a minute. We're talking about visualization, so all your HMIs, whether it's PanelView Plus or FactoryTalk View SE. There's drive component to it, so there's a lot of drive classes. There's motion classes. Industrial networking, cybersecurity, software, safety, etc. There's one other component I want to add to this. So we have the automation technology segment. There's also this thing called the skills gap. And I talked to a couple of you this morning about that earlier. But the craft skills helps us identify training for the folks that are in specific areas. So if you had somebody, for example, that was mainly mechanical and they wanted to learn a little bit more about electrical, you could come in here and you could take some of these electrical classes, or you could take the instrumentation and control classes. You could see the list there. I won't read them all to you. But there's a variety of different craft skills that you can learn. And that could be part of the Learning Plus. So for example, I mentioned this Learning Plus. These are your Rockwell automation classes, the Learning Plus. And then these craft skills, you can get them independently, or you can get them combined. So you can get the 140 hours of craft skills combined with the Learning Plus training classes, which are over 40, and you can combine those together if you'd like. So let's take a look at what some of these classes actually look like. So hopefully you can see that. If not, I'll try to read them to you. So these are the 9 different disciplines that we talked about, right? So there's control, the drives, the motion, the visualization, process control, industrial networking, safety, advanced software, and even legacy products. So if we dig into any one of these disciplines, you can see that the first one, this is probably our most popular class. It's CCP 146. It's Logix 5000 System Fundamentals. It does come with that virtual instructor, as I mentioned. So if you wanted to go on and learn more and see remote labs and things, you can do that. And then from there, there's more advanced ones. This is another popular one, our CCP 152. I'm sorry, 153. That's level 2, and it goes all the way up through motion. So you can see that there's a lot of different classes. I certainly won't read all of these to you, but this presentation will be available after the show that you can go through there. Now, I have a demonstration. I'm not going to go into that today because it would take too long. But anybody interested in learning more about this and seeing how these actually play out, let me know. But from an overview standpoint, I can kind of give you a mental picture of what this looks like. So you go on and pick the first course. Let's say it's CCP 146, and you would log on and you open up the video, and it's usually an overview video, and it talks about what you should learn in the entire module and how to navigate. And then it breaks it down. There's an overview that talks about what you should learn in that particular module, and then it talks about the actual knowledge that you should get about that topic. At the end, there's usually like a fill in the blank, or there's some type of activity that you have to do, a drag and drop activity. Say you're adding in one of the examples, you might have to add a rung of logic. You might have to add a contact, for example. So there's these little skills in action that they'll show you how to do it, and then you have the opportunity to try to do it yourself. They're guided activities typically. So as you get done with each module, you could take a short quiz, and then you go on to the next module. And all the videos have to be played. You have to listen to it from the beginning to the end. And if there's any glossaries or additional resources, you have to watch it all. And at the end, there's an assessment test. And if you pass with an 80 or greater, you get a certificate of completion. So these certificates can be accumulated so that you can get a Rockwell Automation, be part of the Rockwell Automation certification program. So what that means is, there's 3 main ones available. There's the one for PLCs, there's one for drives, and there's one for motion. So what that entails is that this says that if you have that certification, that you've taken at least the fundamental classes, and you can take all these fundamental classes online through this Learning Plus training. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? So the way it's purchased is you can get one class for 90 days. You can get the 40 classes for one person, and that subscription will last for 1 year. You can get the craft skills that I mentioned earlier. So that's where you can get information on instrumentation and control, and electronic technician, and maintenance mechanical technician. Or you can get them combined, and that's what we call enhanced, right? So that combines all of the automation classes with the craft skills, and it's combined into one, and we just call it Learning Plus Enhanced. If you had multiple users, there's a discount in pricing, right? So from 4 to 9, there's a price break, and so on and so forth. You can get multi-user enhanced discounts as well. And there's this new one coming out. I don't know if it's out quite yet, but it's supposed to be out at the end of the month or the beginning of April, and it's Flex. So for larger companies that had 25 or more students, they offer you the ability that you would get your Learning Plus classes, let's say 25, but you can share those activations with others in your organization. So it's a flexible activation that you can share concurrently with other users. So that's usually for larger organizations, but certainly available. So I mentioned I would love to give you guys a demo. That's really all I had. I was just going to go, high-level view of the different offerings, right? We have our Schaedler offerings. We have the PowerFlex 525 and the fundamentals of Ethernet. We have all of these different Rockwell in-person training that could be held at our site, at a Rockwell facility, at one of your facilities, or now we have this Learning Plus that you can do online. And I encourage it. I've taken many of these classes myself. I'm a degreed engineer, and I was in the field for many years. And when COVID started, I actually took several of these classes, and they're well worth it. They really are. And one big tidbit I guess I can share with you, for the price of going to one class, you could probably get all 40 classes online. So it's very economical to do this. Content-wise, It's 95% of the content that you would get in person, you're getting through this virtual Learning Plus.